This is a short bite episode of Homeschool Together. Hello and welcome to Homeschool Together short bite edition. Today we're going to continue our series on my first games for game schooling. We've covered a number of games in the past, like My First Orchard, Unicorn Glitter Luck,
and Uno Moo.
And today we'll be adding a new one to that list, which is a game called Hiss.
Yeah, this is another Gamewright game. I don't know, but
Wait a minute.
Do we have stock in Gamewright yet?
I'm going to show you. I went to go get dinner tonight, and I stopped at the tattoo place. Look at my Gamewright tattoo. It looks great. There's a tattoo place right next to Thai on Main Street.
You ever got a tattoo without telling me? Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Being so much trouble.
Should I tell them about my tattoo story?
No, nobody needs to know this.
So I almost got one.
This is a family show,
guys. I almost got one. Long time ago. It would have been a terrible decision. I was really into this anime, obviously.
As an 18-year-old boy would be.
Gene Starwind. I almost got my big star tattoo on my left arm. Red, with like a little bit deeper red outline.
If you had gotten an anime tattoo, this would have been... This would have been one of those things you would not have told people.
No, I don't.
For a long time.
Ooh, what's that star from? Oh, that was when I was in my biker gang back in middle school.
That wasn't from the geeky anime I used to watch.
Anyway,
let's get back to it. So Hiss, from Gamewright. This is a game for I think you can kind of go up to as many players as you want. I think it's 2 to 4, but you could pull in more players. We started playing this with our daughter when she was about 3, and this is essentially just a color matching game. So the game is all a bunch of large tiles that have segments of colorful snakes. So you'll either have the body of a snake or the tail or the head. And if you have the body, it makes a color transition halfway through the card. So half the card is red, and in the middle it's going to make a color transition to orange, let's say. So the whole way that the game is played is that your learner will draw a tile, and depending on what color it is, they can decide to add it to a snake that's already on the table, and all snakes are communal between everyone on the table, or they can start their own snake if they can't match it somewhere. Once a snake has a tail and a head, then whoever placed the last piece to finish off that snake gets to collapse all of the tiles and take those. At the end of the game, you count up who has the most tiles. That's the traditional way to play it. There are some rainbow, so there's some wild heads and tails as well that you can play. What we primarily did was used this to help reinforce color recognition with our daughter. So as she would put something down, she would say she's trying to match red or orange or whatever the color was. We did this cooperatively, where we just tried to complete as many snakes as we could. Sometimes we would play to make the longest snake we possibly could, or complete as many different ones as we could. And we would just work together. We didn't usually score this at an early age, although you certainly can. It's a simple game, but the snakes are colorful and playful. It's engaging. Our daughter really dug this when she was young. And I mean, now that she's 5, we still do play this. And the younger one is now getting into it.
Yeah, a little bit. And I like it for, it's kind of like, I use this for Uno now. Like we were playing a little bit of Uno today, where you're matching numbers and colors. They don't actually have to know their colors. They just have to match the same color. And that's kind of like, even before they know it's red, they can see the same color and they can match it together. And it was always very helpful, because colors was a tough one for our oldest to learn. And just like, okay, she knew all the names of all the different colors, she just couldn't associate them to the actual color. And so we had to play and reinforce a lot of different color games in order to kind of get over the hump on that. And this was one of those games that we used a lot. And even now, yeah, you're right, I'm starting to pull it out for the little one. We're playing the snakes. She's just using it as to kind of build the snakes. But the idea of, okay, these snakes kind of, this is the body, that's a head, that's a tail, and they kind of come together. She's starting to understand that. She doesn't get the colors thing yet. She just kind of apes whatever color you tell her. And she goes, oh yeah, red or yellow.
But that's great, because, she's doing the matching, even if she doesn't know what the color is, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So she's learning the technique of matching, of drawing something, looking at what it is, and then scanning the whole table to find the same thing and placing it, which is a great early skill.
Well, especially, yeah. And then you can also set up environments. So you can go and flip all the tiles over and actually set up heads and tails and ask them to, build the body. And so you don't actually have to play the game. You can use it as kind of just a building exercise.
Sure.
You can really adapt those rules, change it up however you're going to do it. So yeah, she's been pulling that down a few times now, and we've played it, and she's kind of really enjoyed it. And it's also the novelty of playing with one of her sister's games. She knows, starts yelling, games.
Right, yes, our 20-month-old. Games. Oh my gosh, she's going to be 21 months old very soon here.
Well, what's going on? Is she a teenager yet?
I feel like
she's driving.
It's coming up on us. Yeah, this is funny. So this is we've always been into games, since we first met. We've played games together all throughout the time that we were dating, and then married without children, and then with a baby. We've always played games, and we were so excited to get our little one into playing games. And when our oldest was younger, early preschool, she just wasn't very into it. 2.5, we kept trying little things, and she wasn't into it. Hiss was the very first game that she would play whenever grandma would come over. She'd wanted to play Hiss, and it really was the first one that kind of warmed our hearts. Like, oh, this was like her first game.
Yeah, and you can play it so early. It's definitely one of those games you can play now. And then also, our daughter's 5 years old, and she can play it right now.
Right, and she still enjoys it.
It's got some longevity to it.
It's also the perfect game for kids to play together.
Exactly.
We've seen our daughter explain the rules of Hiss to other kids when she would play with them. It's one that I think that if you have a younger learner, a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, and you have an older sibling, it's a great one for them to play together, because it doesn't have a lot of rules for the older sibling to have to remember. I mean, that's one of the things about playing games with really young children, is that you have to know the game well and know all the rules well and know how to adapt it for younger kids and things, know where you can cut corners and stuff for younger kids. And that's something that, younger elementary kids, being the older sibling, can't really do, right? We can play a modified version of Carcassonne with our 3-year-old. When she was 3, we could do that with her 4, because we're able to say, oh yeah, no, don't worry about that. Oh, we'll cut this corner here. We help her with different pieces of it and stuff. But, if you have 2 siblings playing together, if you have a 2nd grader playing with a preschooler, they're not going to be able to really do that as easily. So I like the games like this. The rules are so utterly simple that older kids can help younger kids, and they can play together without you needing to be involved. And I know this is going to be one of those first games, the second warming of my heart, that our kids are going to play together. So yeah, Hiss. You can't go wrong. This is just a perfect first introduction to games. Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook, and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time,
happy homeschooling!